Hey guys, I just did a little Etsy study on how to sell printable calendars and get them noticed with organic search results. So I'm just going to be showing you some footage of me browsing Etsy while also discussing what I found. So it might not necessarily coincide, but the general ideas will be you'll hear them and you also won't have to do the searching, you'll kind of get the visuals along with it. So, the first thing I started with, I actually was searching for myself and I was looking for a 2017 calendar. I had looked on Amazon and then I realized that one of my missions for the year is to support artists in their businesses more. So I realized I could go with Amazon, but maybe it'd be easier to just search for something on Etsy. So here I go. Not a frequent Etsy user, so I'm not quite familiar with exactly why the categories are the way they are, how the search tends to go, so that's what I was looking at in this little study today. And so I went to Etsy, and the first thing I type in is 2017 calendar. Really basic, but my search results, I got way too many, and I just don't have the patience for that. It was really easy to want to narrow that down, so I decided I would use the categories first because Etsy showed me all categories sorted by relevancy, and the other options are highest price, lowest price, um, and yep, most recent as well. So, most recent, I feel like is kind of um, not a way of searching that I use at all. I'm not sure how many people do. It's kind of interesting to see what's new if you have looked and you've searched before, but if you haven't done a search and you don't quite know what's out there, you might as well just start with the relevant terms because why would I want something that's not relevant to that keyword? So what I did was I narrowed it down to the first category, paper and party supplies, which after actually looking through the categories, it makes a little bit more sense that a calendar might be a book, or considered to be a book. But I just went with paper. It was the top of the list. I clicked on it. It narrowed down the results quite a bit, and then I could go even further. I could go paper or party supplies. I chose paper, and then from there, I believe you could go into calendars and whatnot, even further. Yep, calendars and planners is what I would consider a 2017 calendar to go under. And after refining the search that much, I realized that I would have to choose between either a pre-printed calendar or one that I could print myself. And for the price, it makes sense to go with the printable calendar. You know, I have a printer upstairs. I don't have to pay for shipping. I get the instant download. That's kind of nice. And for the artists, they get to keep a lot of the profit and they don't have to do the shipping and all that stuff. So that's nice for both parties. I mean, preferably, well, assuming that you are okay with printing your own, which I am. So I decided at that point I didn't want to see any of the other stuff. I'm going to refine it to now a search of 2017 printable calendar. And at that point, my search results were filtered by a lot. I still had all the options of the categories to search under, and then I got too intrigued by how and why people choose the categories that they choose, because still a lot of people pick different ones, and I wasn't quite sure why. What I came to realize with the relevancy feature that Etsy has is that if you put 2017 printable calendar, you have a much better chance of being placed towards the front of the line of all the results. Whereas if you don't do that, if you choose something specific to your topic, like towards the very back of the pages, there's one for a calendar for people who homeschool. So that was a keyword that they placed first, which maybe if you were searching for that, that would be helpful. But also, if you think your calendar applies to anybody, make sure those keywords are first. 2017 printable calendar. Alright, so that's kind of a lot to consider. Strategically formulating your title to be searched by relevancy is kind of important, but then also in your description, make sure that you have those same types of keywords at the front of your description. Then you can go into things like paper size, file size, downloadable, instant download type, all that stuff that you want people to know about your product, but make sure that search terms and keywords are at the front of your description as well. And then the next part that's going to play a factor is going to be your performance. Just in general, as a store, it seems reviews and popularity, maybe, I'm not sure quite how the Etsy algorithm works, but just by looking at it, it seems like people had kind of figured out to put those keywords first. Now, what is interesting is that since there are people who don't quite know why things are categorized in these different ways, you can search through pages, 139 pages of calendars and the paper and party supplies, but that kind of gets boring up to like maybe page 8 for me. And so what I was curious was what's in the books, movies, and music calendar category? What's in the art and collectibles? What's in home and living? Why? Why would somebody categorize their item in that way? So, just looking back now, if I go to, I've refined my search even further to 2017 monthly printable calendar, because that is what I was interested in. It gave me 3,000 results, which is so much less overwhelming. But what is behind each of these weird categories now? So books, movies, music, it seems like the same stuff. I'm seeing things in paper and party that are also in books and movies. And I'm not sure if it's possible, but maybe, I don't know, can you select 2 different categories? Because I'm wondering if maybe that's not better for you to do so. But I don't know, so don't listen to me. Under arts and collectibles, this is where artists could really narrow down their ability to become visible through organic search. If you want to include yourself as an artistic calendar, people who are looking for more visually appealing things might go click on that and search for that through that category. So the next thing you have to consider when you put your printable calendar on Etsy is going to be what types of pictures you are going to display for it. So I've been looking at some of the ones that I searched through 54 pages just to find you the most interesting, unique examples of printable calendars. And so what I've noticed is that you can split up the months into quarters or thirds to make it a little bit easier to see the picture. And this one we're looking at, they've got they've got all of them in one, and it's a little hard to see each one. So just be kind and divide up the pictures. It's not bad to have more pictures. If somebody is interested, they're going to be interested in looking at those pictures. I also noticed that it seems to be a good thing to show every single month of the calendar. So don't be afraid to not surprise them. They actually want to know what they are buying and what they're going to be printing out. So whereas sometimes when you get a pre-printed calendar, it's kind of exciting to not know what's going to be on the inside, but it appears that people just like to see what's out there, and it kind of works that way. So then you get to choose if you're going to print it out yourself and take photos, or you can do mock-ups. So in this example, you can see this is all purely digital, and that works. That works just fine. It's kind of nice sometimes if you have a really good example of maybe a professionally printed version of your calendar to show that it can look that beautiful. When it is printed, that's just another way to build the trust of the person giving you their money. So these are all mock-ups. This is a very social media type of Instagram-driven approach. There's roses and ice cream cone, and it has nothing to do with what you're purchasing. You don't get the wood, you don't get the flowers, you don't get the jewelry, but they packaged it all in there to give you that vibe, but that's not what you're buying. If you look through these and you see there's a lot of clipboards, it's great to give the purchaser an idea of how to display the item. So you can frame it, you can put it on a clipboard, you can hang it, you can show it within the context of a planner with a 3-hole punch placed inside a 3-ring binder. You can display it on a desk and just give them that concept of what it will look like when it's come to be on their own desk. And sometimes that is nice to just give them that idea, plant that thought in their head, and then it becomes even more appealing. So once you look at the descriptions and all of that, you kind of get a vibe for the way people are selling and what they have to tell the person who's going to be purchasing. Instant digital download is so important to let them know. But this one, oh, I love this one. This is so cute. It's very artistic. So that is very personal, and it's something I was able to come across within my search. This one is more interactive. It's a neat idea. It's a coloring book calendar. So if you want to get in on the coloring book craze that's going on, try creating some designs for a 2017 calendar. Or plan way ahead and start for 2018. I like that this person has different languages to purchase the calendar in, or they're all included. That's kind of neat. That's a different way of differentiating your product, and it's not that difficult. You can make it the standard shape, or you can also give the user the idea that they will have to cut and do a little bit of work. I was having trouble reading this screen, but on the next screen you can see that they included in their pictures something very clear to let them know it was not a pre-printed item. This person right here, they show each individual month you can print. So I don't know if that's any different if you buy the whole calendar or less, maybe it's just for those people who miss out on some months and they don't want to download the entire 2017 calendar. That's something to consider if you maybe start the process of developing your calendars a little bit later on in the year. If it takes you longer than just until February to get your calendar out, then maybe do them individually. A lot of people like the concept of putting it as art into frames, and that's kind of neat. But you can see a lot of this is digital mock-ups. So it takes very little investment. If you are creative, you know Photoshop, you are an illustrator, you already have all these skills to start making yourself some passive income, and you just kind of need to understand what an attention-grabbing thumbnail will be, because you need that initial click to get the person to add it to their cart. And the description really is just the little icing to tell them everything. But in the photos themselves, they should be able to be completely understanding of what they're getting. I think that's a really nice way to do it. So what you'll see now is just me looking through the remainder of the items that stood out to me when searching. And oh, this one, I got to this one and I was just in love. Like, it's an adorable ferret, and just would you look at that, and it's not that complicated, but it's so cute. And you can see exactly what you're getting. And it's colorful a little bit. This one I liked because it was just totally unique. Vaccine preventable diseases calendar, but it was way at the back, so maybe if they said 2017 printable calendar, monthly, and then some keywords, of describing their specific product, maybe they would have been a little bit further ahead. So that wraps it up, guys. I hope you got some good tips. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions.